Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for a Fast Track product overview. Just a few items before we get going. During the webinar, all attendees will be muted for best audio quality. If you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. This will be monitored throughout the presentation. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Stanko Palexic. Stanko is the Director of Product Engineering at FastTrack. After 15 years in aviation, he transitioned into the solar industry, where he has spent the past 4 years developing reliable racking solutions for real-world installations. His work centers on the continuous improvement of solar racking systems, making them easier to install while ensuring they perform in Canadian conditions. Today, he works closely with installers to refine systems that help solar projects move faster and with greater confidence. Thank you for joining us today, Stanko. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, Amber. I appreciate that kind words. And while you're giving me too much credit, it's not me. It's the team that does all those wonderful things that you mentioned. So it's of course a team effort. Okay. We do have full slate here. We do have a broad range of product racking solutions. So, and we're gonna, go over all of them. So we'll try to go pretty quickly here and won't necessarily have a chance to kind of dig too deep into the details. But of course, you can always reach out after the webinar and we'll be happy to share whatever details you may need around any specific product. So with that, as Amber mentioned, my name is Stanko. I'm the Director of Product Engineering. I work with a team of about four other engineers and designers that look after Fast Rack. Today, we'll give you a little bit of an introduction. We'll do a whole quick overview of all of our products that we have, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper in some of the key components of that product line, such as our sloped roof mount offering, our flat roof ballasted system, our ground mounts, and some of our accessories. Accessories are one of those things that we kind of work on continuously and introduce new products, and we've recently added more to it this year. So we want to kind of give you an overview of that as well. And then we'll finish off with our engineering and product support tools. While we do, focus on product development and racking solutions, we do, of course, offer engineering services and product support as well. Okay, so just a little bit about FastRack. So FastRack as a racking brand and an OEM has been around for over 15 years now. We are, of course, a North American Canadian based. We do all of our engineering and design work in-house with our, internal resources. And then, of course, we take all of our designs and we work with CSA test labs to have them all tested and certified to the applicable UL standards and things like that to just make sure that we are uh, designing and producing quality certified products. Some of the advantages of Fast Rack is our nationwide inventory. So Fast Rack, as you may or may not know, is exclusively distributed through Charge Solar, and Charge Solar does have warehouses across the country, and our product is available in all of those warehouses. We do have local support, engineering support in British Columbia, in Alberta, and Ontario, and a little bit in Quebec now as well. In-house licensed engineering services. We support the product from pre-sale through the sale process and post-sale installation service as well. And we try to be quick about it. So that's quick fast track introduction. In terms of our product line, as I mentioned, we do have a broad, comprehensive set of products for a lot of different situations. We'll start over with our ground mounts. We offer three different ground mount solutions. Our FR-GMX is our all aluminum lightweight construction ground mount. Um, our Fast Rack Elite is a robust steel subframe ground mount meant for high load situations. And we do offer a top of pole mount Fast Rack TPM, which is a bit of a niche solution, mostly used in off-grid applications, where that does have seasonally adjustable tilt and single foundation, which makes it a little bit easier to kind of install in challenging rocky terrains where you can't necessarily put multiple even foundations down for a traditional ground mount. On the roof side, our flagship product is our sloped roof mount, Fast Rack Ultra. It's as most sloped roof mounts. It's a pretty simple system. It's rail, it's splices. It's module clamps, it's bonding accessories, it's a roof anchor and some mounting feet. But we'll get a little bit more into the details and what any advantages of that system over some of our other competitors. We do offer what we call a VRM, vertical roof mount. It's again, this is a bit of a niche system with limited applications, uh, primarily used on in low slope applications where you want a little bit more tilt, and that this will allow you to achieve that. Down at the bottom of that middle row, you can see that our Talon XC product, which is our shingle roof anchor product. It's deck anchor, but it can also be used as a truss mount anchor as well. It's a dual purpose, and it's fully mechanically flashed, so waterproof. On the right, our Fast Rack Avenue is our commercial flat roof ballasted product offering. That's our solution for commercial flat roofs. Of course, designed to be ballasted, but it can also be used in a fully mechanically anchored application or a hybrid between the two for situations where you do have roof capacity issues. We can lower loading by using anchors. I will quickly mention our some of our off-grid special equipment, such as the vertical pole mount, really meant for smaller, low voltage, small modules, typically used in industrial off-grid applications as well. Again, a niche product, not necessarily widely used. And the last thing I'll mention is accessories. We do offer a full suite of accessories across all of our mounts, roof mounts as well as the ground mounts. And we'll go over those accessories a little bit more later in the presentation. Moving on, I'm not seeing any questions so far, which is good. It's still early. We'll move and talk a little bit more about the Fast Track Ultra. So as I mentioned, this is, by far our most popular product and most widely used product. It does hold a significant share of the Canadian residential pitched roof market, and it's used across the country, and it's been around for 15 years, as I said. It is fully engineered. It's UL 2703 and CSA till A40 certified for both bonding and grounding and mechanical load. And it comes with a standard 25-year warranty. So what's special about it? Why, what are the features and advantages? So number one, as I mentioned, it's UL certified. And it's Canadian Building Code compliance. So full compliance with the latest version of the Canadian Building Code and all the provincial adoptions. And I think the latest Canadian Building Code in force right now is the NBCC 2020. Provincial adoptions, of course, are a little bit later, but it's compliant with all of those requirements. Fast Track Ultra is the Canadian market leader for the longest rail spans between anchors, which of course means fewer parts, fewer components, and less time you have to spend on a roof, and less penetrate the roof penetrations as well. We do our rail does offer a 4 foot span for the vast majority of Canadian locations, as you'll see later on in the presentation, which can't be said about some of the other lighter weight rail systems. The entire Fast Track Ultra system only uses M8 fasteners, so it's a single tool install. All you need is a 13 mm socket, and off you go. You always have the right tool in your hands. You don't have to worry about not having the right tools. We do have an online bomb generator, which is also integrated with the Charge Solar e-commerce portal. So that allows you to do quick designs, get you bomb generated, load it into your Charge Solar cart, and go get on pricing and seamless ordering. I will do a little demonstration towards the end on on the bomb generator and how to use it. Uh, the system is pre-engineered. As I mentioned, we do have rail span documents with professional engineering seals across the country. I will show you those documents later on as well, which means you don't have to necessarily wait for an engineering design unless your AHJ does want specific, site-specific design. You can use our pre-engineered documentation to determine your spans and take that to the AHA for approvals as well, which expedites your projects. It kind of makes the process a little more seamless. Full suite of bonding accessories. Again, all our clamps are integrated bonded. We have all the grounding lugs, MLP grounding, bonding jumpers, everything you need to properly bond your system and achieve compliance with the Canadian Electrical Code requirements. Mechanically flash deck anchors. So as I mentioned, we do offer our Talon XC product to go along with the Fast Rack Ultra Rail system. It is a both deck mounted system that can be used as a rafter truss mounted system as well. It's fully mechanically flashed. I believe we are the only racking OEM in the country and maybe even on the planet that offers exclusively mechanically flashed anchors. Well, other folks offer mechanically flashed anchors, but they also offer non-flashed alternatives. We just don't believe in the non-mechanically flashed product, and we don't offer it. We stick with the mechanically flashed anchors. And universal module fitment. So again, this it's a simple system. It doesn't really care what the module looks like and its geometry to a point, unless the module OEMs start making round modules, that may become a problem. But as long as it's rectangular in shape, the system is agnostic to it and it can accommodate it, whatever changes are coming in module designs in the future. So it's somewhat of a future-proof design. I'll talk a little bit about our clamps. So we do offer a couple of different clamp options. On the left there, you can see our T-bolt clamps, which is our traditional offering. Those have been around since this introduction of Fast Rock Ultra. On the right there are our click lock style clamps, which are a little bit newer. I think we introduced those about 2.5 years ago, as an option for folks that really don't like T-bolts. Some people love T-bolts, other people don't want to touch them with that 10-foot pole. So we've offered an option for you to use whichever you want. Nice thing about the click, both come in silver and black. The nice thing about the click locks is that they are somewhat universal. A single clamp will accommodate module frame thicknesses from, I think, about 28 millimeters to 40 millimeters. So really everything in today's module frame range. Most modules today are at 30 millimeters with some 35 mils. So you only need to stock one clamp, whereas the T-bolts do have some range limitations, and you have to carry a couple different SKUs for a 30 millimeter and a 35 millimeter frame. The other nice thing about the click lock is that it's both a mid clamp and an end clamp. So you don't have to stock mid clamps and end clamps. You just stock mid clamps. And in order to turn a mid clamp into an end clamp, you just need a little stopper, extruded aluminum stopper, to turn it into an end clamp. So again, it kind of gives you some flexibility. It limits, the amount of stock that you need to hold. Lastly, there in the center, you'll see our hidden end clamp. So for those folks that want a nice clean edge finish, we do offer a hidden end clamp to go along with that. And if you pair that with this nice little rail end cap, it looks really slick on a final install. I mentioned our Fast Track Talon XE anchors. We'll spend a little more time on it here. So again, it is a mechanically flashed anchor, but it also uses butyl sealant. So at the bottom of the base plate is a layer of butyl sealant. So it's kind of a belt and suspenders approach on our end. We do also incorporate an EPDM gasket around the mounting stud so that it's fully protected for any sort of a water ingress, and you can count on it to kind of last the life of the array without worrying about roof leaks. And again, as I mentioned, it's a deck mounted anchor using six standard number 10 screws that you can buy it. You can buy them from us, or you can also buy them from Home Hardware anywhere else. And it can also be installed in a truss application using just two structural 3.5 inch structural screws. Also number 10. Um, the nice thing about that is that most truss anchors out there use large lag bolts, which you have to pre-drill into the truss in order not to crack it. We use number 10 screws, which you can drive directly into a truss with minimal risk of cracking. So I think I mentioned, like, majority of the Canadian residential roofs are shingle roofs. I don't know the numbers, but it's probably 80, 90%. So we made sure that we have good solutions for that. But there are some applications with metal roofs, and we don't have fast rack specific in-house mount anchors for metal roofs, but we do use and design with mostly with S5 product or Solar Connections International. So we do have solutions that we work with for corrugated steel and standing seam roofs as well. So we can do that, but they are just third party rather than Fast Track Direct. So before we move on, I'll pause for any questions. I don't see any in our question and answer window, but please feel free to ask as we go. With that, let's move on. So Fastback Avenue is our next product. So as I mentioned, Fastback Avenue are designed for commercial flat roofs, designed to be fully ballasted, can be can be used in anchored applications as well. This product also comes with a 25-year limited warranty. It's also UL certified for bonding and grounding, mechanical load, as well as fire safety. So we have included fire safety in this one as well. Um, in terms of features and advantages, so again, fully wind tunnel tested. So we have our own several wind tunnel studies that kind of allow us to optimize wind uplift and try to minimize ballast wherever possible. Fully UL certified. Canadian Building Code compliance. So our wind study is specifically compliant with the Canadian Building Code 2020 and all the provincial adoptions, which again provides for a frictionless project delivery. You never stuck with an AHA questioning the data and the validity and the compliance of your data that you're using for your designs. Once again, we're a Canadian market leader for our longest spans on a flat roof. We typically use 10-foot spans, and that 10-foot span really works in the vast majority of Canadian urban population centers. There are, of course, Canada's a broad country and the weather conditions are uh, vary in extremes. There are, of course, situations where a 10-foot span isn't appropriate if the snow loading is high, in which case we do have the ability to reduce that span down to something smaller to accommodate that and increase the capacity for high snow load locations. But again, those large spans allow you to kind of allow us to minimize the number of components and parts that you need to bring up on the roof and less connections, less time that you spend on the roof installing the stuff. Once again, the entire Avenue product is installed using M8 fasteners. So again, single tool install, 13 mil wrench, and that's all you really need. We use exclusively single fastener joints. So every joint that where we assemble components, it's a single fastener joint. So you're not there torquing, three, four, five, six, 10 fasteners. It's always just the one fastener, one M8 fastener, throw it on, torque it, and off you go to the next. The system is fully auto-spacing, self-aligning, and self-supporting. So what that means, you really need to establish, your reference to the one edge, to the two edges of the roof. Once you've done that, the entire system just spaces itself. All the components have pre-cut notches and holes in them, so that you're always spacing, know where the next one goes and it aligns. So you don't have run the risk of over a long array of skewed rails or anything like that. It's completely self-aligning and it grids itself no matter how big the array is. And it's self-supporting, so which means when you lay out your base rails and you put your tilt triangles on there, they will stay standing without any fasteners, without you holding them. You can lay it all out without putting a single fastener in. So it supports itself. So you can kind of really one person can go out and lay out the entire racking system on their own. And again, it just provides for fewer opportunities for error or rework. You're not, finding out after you've laid down a bunch of rows, crap, my rail is skewed and I need to kind of now undo it all and reset it. You're never going to be in that situation because it's always going to be aligned for you. It's a grid-based modular design. So what that means, we use module rails rather than, letting the module carry the loads. So the racking is carrying all the loads, not the module, which kind of reduces the risk of micro cracks in the modules, extends the module life and the efficiency of the module over time. Our base rail is discontinuous, so it's not a continuous rail that forms a dam. It has cutouts in it. It's discontinuous, which means the roof can still drain properly. We're not obstructing drainage on the roof, and isn't going to pool water around the racking. It's allowed to drain properly as it was designed to do in the first place. And then once again, universal module fitment, we've got lots of adjustability in the system that we can accommodate within reason, of course, accommodate that module geometry changes. Again, there's, module OEMs can do some funky things that may, force me to remove that line off the presentation. But as of now, we do have universal module fitment on our racking system. And then, as I mentioned, it can be ballasted or can be mechanically attached or some combination thereof. Um, Again, there's really four main components: that base rail, that north-south base rail, module rails, ballast trays, and then the tilt triangles, and then a bunch of accessories that kind of bring it all together. Now, the difference between, a pitched roof system and a flat roof ballasted system is that the flat roof ballasted systems really have to be engineered every single time. It's near impossible to produce any sort of generic design data that you can put out and use on a repeated basis. It's just there's so many variables that kind of influence what your ballast plan looks like, including the shape of the array, shape of the building, height of the building, lots of different things. So we do need to engineer each project. So, which means we put a lot of focus into streamlining that process and making it as frictionless as possible. And this is kind of what it looks like for us. So it always starts with an intake form where we ask you for some site information, some system information, and of course your information. And those forms are available on our website in the digital form. You fill it out, you click a button, and it goes into our inbox. And then we take that intake form and we produce a proposal for you. And we do that, we commit to doing that within 2 business days. So 48-hour turnaround time from you clicking the button to submit a request intake form to you having a proposal in your hands that's going to give you the pricing for material pricing for the racking. It's going to give you the engineering fees that will be required there. It's also going to give you a preliminary layout of what we believe that the array should look like, and we're also going to give you some preliminary loading. At this stage, it's an estimate, but you will have some idea what the roof loading is. And, in cases where you have some roof loading restrictions, you'd know right off the bat that, hey, based on those restrictions, it doesn't look like I can get a fully ballasted system, or in which case you might want to consider some anchors or other alternatives to bring that loads down. So once you have that proposal, it's over to you to take whatever time you need with it before you decide to move forward. Once you've decided to move forward, you sign that proposal and you send it back to us. Once we get that contract, if you will, that puts us in gear, and then we start working on your project. And our service level for that phase of the project is we commit to providing you with a full preliminary design within 2 weeks of signed proposal. And then that goes over to you for review. And the expectation is that you're gonna, take the time to review the preliminary design, make sure that it conforms to the initial intake form and what you want, that we didn't make any mistakes or make any incorrect assumptions. And then you can either accept that design or accept the design with feedback. And we would then correct any errors, and if there's small changes that you want to implement, we would implement those changes, and we would return a full set of sealed, authenticated construction documents to you that include a mechanical layout and a ballast plan within 1 week of receiving that approval to proceed to final sealing. Once we finish the sealed drawings and deliver them to you, then we ship the material. The material will always include extra hardware. So we always include, I think, 2 or 3% of extra hardware to go along with the BOM. We know that, nuts and bolts get dropped and we don't want you running out and having to run down to Home Depot to buy more, call us and wait for more. We give you some extra so that you can, drop and lose some and still be able to finish the project. We also provide you with a list of recommended spares. Entirely up to you if you want to take the spares or not. That's just a little bit of extra safety. In case one of your rails gets damaged, you've got an extra one that you can just swap it in rather than waiting for anyone to arrive. This product is stocked in Barrie, Ontario, and Calgary, Alberta, and in Victoria. And any system that we design that's less than 30 kilowatts, we commit to shipping from stock. So we hold enough inventory to service those smaller systems that are less than 30 kilowatts. If your system is larger, then we would build that to order. And I think our lead time on those is typically around 4 weeks. We do stock a lot of the long lead time items so that we are only subject to the short lead times, basically on steel fabrication for those larger systems. So that's the path to success. And in theory, we can deliver a full design within 3 weeks of you signing a contract, and then ship the material within that after that third week. I still don't see any questions, so we will keep going and get into our ground mounts. So I mentioned 3 ground mounts. I'm not going to get into details on the TPMs just because it's really a niche application, but I will give you some more details on our 2 main fixed ground mounts, FR Elite and FR-GMX. So unlike our rooftop products, our ground mount products come with a 10-year limited warranty. We are, of course, open to discussing and extending those warranties where needed, but as standard, they come with 10-year limited warranties. On the left, Fast Rack Elite. As I mentioned, it's a robust design, really designed to accommodate a vast majority of Canadian locations. It utilizes a shared rail concept, which really, works really well for backside production from bifacial modules. GMX, on the other hand, it's a lightweight all aluminum design. It's ideal for easy handling and smaller projects. But in any rate, we kind of give you the flexibility to select the appropriate ground mount for your application and the conditions of your project and the environmental conditions of the locations that you're trying to install them in. Uh, in terms of some of the features and advantages of both, why do we carry two? Well, there's good reasons. As I mentioned, the GMX is an all aluminum lightweight frame, so it's easy to handle. Like every component of that system can be handled by one person. Uh, so, an aluminum rail, just 173-inch aluminum rail, one person can actually really handle that without too much difficulty. The other nice thing about the GMX is that it uses common components. So, if you do ground mount installations, but you also work on rooftop systems, GMX uses the same clamps and same accessories that the Ultra uses, that the Fast Rack Avenue uses. So you don't have to use, stock 3 or 4 different clamp types. One set of clamps, one set of bonding lenses, one set of everything, and you can kind of use it across all your projects. Theoretically, GMX comes with unlimited roll length, so you can go indefinitely, theoretically all the way around the Earth. So that gives you lots of design flexibility, not being limited to a certain table size, and you can tailor it to what you need. There are of course, some limitations on that, which I'll explain later. But in theory, it is capable of doing that. Once again, universal module fitment, again, all within reason, but it's agnostic to you using a small Resi 54 cell versus a large 600 plus watt commercial module. It'll accommodate both. Broad foundation compatibility. So it's a pretty simple design. Like it comes with a couple of mounting feet. You can mount those on helical piles, which I believe most people do. You can also put them on, concrete piers or precast concrete piers, or you can put it on ballast blocks. You can put it on highway dividers. You can put it on a pre-engineered wood or metal frame, whatever you'd like. The system doesn't really care what it's mounted on, provided, of course, that the foundation is appropriately engineered for the reaction loads, which we do provide, which is the next bullet. We do provide pre-sealed set of reaction load tables that you can use with whoever your foundation design provider is, so they can properly size them. So if you're using helical piles, you can take those sealed reaction load tables to them, and they can design they can figure out what pile diameter and embedment depth and helix size you need to accommodate those reaction loads. And it really just makes the project flow smooth. You don't have to necessarily have, again, unless the HA requires it, you don't necessarily have to have uh, a location specific, site specific design. You can use the pre-engineered data to do that. Fast Rack Elite, again, on the other hand, it's a heavy duty steel frame, subframe that the modules sit on. It's designed Canadian weather. If you look at Canada, I think Canada has 650, 700 weather stations across the country. We took a look at all of them and all the weather conditions at those 700 weather stations and decided we want this mount to be universally compatible with at least 90% of those weather station data points, which it does. It exceeds 90. So there's, of course, niche situations like, Whistler has designed snow depth of 20 feet. It's pretty hard to design. It's not impossible. You can, of course, design, but you know, the cost of that system would be 5x what it is, and burdening everybody else with the cost of Whistler designs. It didn't seem fair, so we didn't design for places like Whistler, but this mount is compatible with greater than 90% of Canadian locations. As mentioned, it does use a share rail design. It's really optimized for bifacial module production. So if you look at the back, along the back of that mount there, all the rails are running on the module edges. So aside from the legs that are running across, there's no obstructions there, and you can optimize your backside production from bifacial modules, which they all are these days. I'm not sure if there's any non bifacial modules on the Canadian market right now. While GMX only comes in a fixed 45-degree tilt, we do offer a couple of tilt options on the Elite. We offer a 35 and then a 45-degree tilt option for some flexibility. We know that there's some municipalities that have some height restrictions on ground-mounted solar, and in which case you can use a 35-degree tilt, which will get you within those limitations. Unlike the GMX, we made a decision to kind of limit the length of the Elite, so you can get it in 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg, or 5 leg options. Beyond that, you kind of have to put a break in the array and keep and start another one. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason is thermal expansion. You have to put a break, into your rail after about 50 feet of rail anyways. So if you're using a really long GMX, you have to put thermal brakes in it, whereas here you have to break the array anyway, so might as well break it completely and start over. And the second one is wind. With really long arrays, you get penalized for wind loading. So again, once you get past that 50 feet, there's a fairly severe penalty on wind loading, which kind of limits the capability of the mount, and we didn't want to get into that. You're not losing anything by putting a brake in. Our cantilever allowance is really half the span between legs, so it's not like you're going to need more foundations to do this. You just may need a little bit more space between those foundations. So it doesn't increase the cost of foundation and groundwork. It just simplifies it a little bit by eliminating thermal brakes and eliminating the penalties on wind loading. Once again, universal module fitment, and then really in this case, like the module length is completely irrelevant. It just dictates how many modules you can fit on the mount. And similar in terms of foundation compatibility, the leg mounting system is not the same as GMX, but it works in a very similar way, and it's broadly compatible, much like the GMX. And also for this mount as well, we do provide a set of sealed reaction loads for foundation sizing. So we do provide pre-engineered data for our ground mounts and for our slope-proof systems. But as mentioned, for the ballasted stuff, you can't really do that, so we don't. Okay, so that's ground mounts. I'll talk a little bit about accessories. As I mentioned, we're constantly thinking about and developing and improving our excuse me, our accessories. And then at the beginning of this year, we launched a few more items and a few more members of that accessories family. And I'll spend a little bit of time just going through those. So number one is the cable clip. Cable management has been somewhat of an unsolvable problem from what I can tell. There's a million different options of cable clips and things, but they're all restrictive in their applicability. You know, you can use it for this type of cable of this size of cable, but not these. And it's just a bit of a nightmare of a problem to solve. Um, People love zip ties. They're hard to beat from a cost perspective. They're fairly inexpensive and fairly universal. So we decided if you can't beat the zip tie, join it. Let's not try to replace it. Let's try to make it better. Let's try to kind of work with it. So what we decided to do is create a little clip that works with our rails and just really clips into our rails to make the use of zip tie better, easier. I think easier and maybe better from a long-term um, cable security perspective. So we designed this little clip. It's a tool-free install. All you do is with your thumb, just click it into this rail channel on the side of it works with all our rails. So it will work on Ultra, it will work on Avenue, it will work on GMX. And then it has a couple of slots in it that you can just continue to use zip ties. Rather than, kind of zip tying cable around the entire rail, which, there's only so tight you can get that zip tie, and there's still, room for that cable to kind of shift over time and chafe on the rail. If you do it in this way, you're really zip tying around the entire cable bundle or the single cable, so it's got nowhere to go. And it's in there and secure, and it's not going to chafe over time. So that's available and just introduced earlier this year. Um, okay. The next thing is a spacer tool. So, you know, people want their arrays to look nice and square and evenly spaced, and it's a challenge and it's time consuming to do that in situ. So we thought maybe we could kind of try to produce a tool that makes it a little bit easier. And it's a pretty simple tool. Uh, it's really the way it works is you just need a couple of them. It's a web design, so you can kind of just put it on top of, you can set one module and can use that module as a reference to set the rest of your gaps. It's got a web design, so it kind of sits on top and it spaces you need a couple of them, and you would just kind of drop in the next module, and that would kind of give you even, consistent, and square spacings for the next row of modules. The vertical rows, of course, are always going to be spaced by your module clamp when it comes down to it. But those horizontal gaps between rows, you can now get nice and perfect with these tools. It works with any clamp, and it's easily removable. We got a little nice little, quarter-inch hole in there. You can put it on a string, and then you can just yank on the string to get it out. Um, Anyway, it's pretty simple and it's available, and might some people might find it useful and time saving on the roof. So those were a couple of things. That the real purpose of that latest accessories project was protection. So we're recognizing that more and more jurisdictions are kind of adopting the electrical code requirements to incorporate pest protection and slope-proof solar systems. So we wanted to make sure that we have a, comprehensive product offering to kind of tailor to that need, to that expanding regulatory need. Uh, so we introduced Fast Track Edge trim and clamp. So the clamp itself is is a universal fit. Like, I know, most people have traditionally used J hooks. And they work, on modules that have a return flange on the bottom. Unfortunately, the current, modules on the market don't have a return flange along the shorter side of the module, so you have nothing to hook the J hook onto. So you need something different. So you kind of stuck, using J hooks on one side and something else on the other side. What this does is provide you with a universal solution. So you're using the one thing on either side. The other thing that we wanted to do is we designed this edge trim component as well, and it's really two reasons for it. One is, for folks that want something that looks a little bit better than your traditional rodent mesh, you can use this, and it's a lot easier to handle than a roll of mesh, a 100-foot roll of mesh. This comes in 4-foot sections in a box. And really what we did is we designed it so that it has full range of the Fast Track's Ross foot. So regardless of where your rail sits on that Ross foot, this has full range to cover that without any trimming or bending or molding. So it's meant to be faster, less involved, less kind of bending, trimming, and work on the roof. You could just offer it there, fasten it to the clamps, and move on. It's got a premium finish. It's black coated, UV resistant, and all those wonderful things that you want in a long-term component. So as I mentioned, the clamp, it'll work with the flanged frames. It will also work with non-flanged frames. All you got to do is hook it on, tighten it so that it grips the edge of the module frame, and it'll stay on there. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't care about the module thickness. It doesn't care about whether there's a flange or not. It's really universal. You can use it anywhere on any type of module. Now, that said, of course, there are folks that are still going to offer the mesh, and we do, of course, continue to offer the just the traditional mesh system as well. Uh, and a number of options for fastening. So again, you can continue to use the J hooks, which we offer. And again, if you for the modules without return flanges where you can't use a J hook, we do offer a injection molded plastic clip that's super easy to install. It's of course not as robust, and if you're in our area with lots of snow, may not be the best solution. Particularly if the install isn't sound and you leave your mesh kind of proud of the Euro array so that it catches snow and pulls on it. And of course, our edge clamp will work with mesh as well. So it was designed for the edge trim, the aesthetic edge trim, but it does also work with the traditional mesh systems as well. So in summary, we offer a range of solutions. If you want a nice, sleek, secure finish, go with our Fast Rack Edge and trim clamps. Or if you just want something a little more cost effective, if you will, and traditional, you can continue to use the mesh, and you can continue to use it with J hooks or our edge clips or our edge clamps as well. So that's it on the product. I'll just real quickly kind of tell you a little bit about our engineering services, and then we'll switch over to the Fast Track website, and I'll give you a quick walkthrough of the site and what's available and all the tools and data that's available there to support you in your projects and installations. So, as mentioned, we do have a in-house team of professional engineers. We do provide professional engineering services. We are nationwide, either in-house with a couple of regions that we rely on third-party consultants for. As you can see, we do have internal stamps in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. For Quebec, Yukon, PEI, and Newfoundland, we rely on third parties, but we do have those partnerships, and we can certainly accommodate that as well. And we do, produce and seal our own ballast plans. We do site-specific layouts for sloped roofs and ground mounts. And we do also do custom mount designs. So we recognize that sometimes there are niche situations and there are clients with money to burn that want funky artistic arrays, which we've done several of. We do offer custom mount design services as well. Fast Rack website. So I am going to switch rather than put slides together. I'll switch to the website itself and kind of walk you through what's there and how you can use it. Okay, so this is the main page. On there, you'll really just find, a little bit of information across all of our systems. You will see a ribbon across the top with all the different mounting systems. If you click on one of them, and it'll take you to a landing page for that, and there you can find a lot more detailed information around that particular system. and what it's about, how it works, and all those wonderful things. I won't go through each one, but those are all there. Um, the other thing that's there, there's this on the right here, there's this what's new button. If you click on that, it'll tell you the latest updates to the site. So you'll see that we've got some new accessories. You'll see that we've kind of done a bit of a revamp of our intake forms, and we've made some changes to the Ultra builder as well. And then most importantly, there's this resources that drop down with a bunch of different options there. So I mentioned the intake forms. If you click on that, it'll take you this page and intake forms for our flat roofs, our sloped roofs, or our ground mounts. You would just fill these out, click the submit button, and that would go to us and we will get your project started. I mentioned that we have design tools. So the Fast Track Ultra has its own builder. So if you click on that, it'll take you to this tool. You can, enter your project. You can type in your address. I like to use our head office, Tennyson. It'll prompt you to select the weather station. There's a bunch of weather stations in Victoria. So depending where you are, you would kind of select the one that's probably the one that's the closest. So we'll select Victoria. And it kind of gives you the nice image, and also it gives you like these are the assumed environmental loads for that location. You go to the roof, you select your pitch, you select what type of roof you have, asphalt shingle. We offer our Fast Track Talon. We also do offer the RT Mini as well for those that don't want to use flashed anchors and just want to use non-flash deck anchors. We do give you the option to select an RT Mini. And again, you can select the metal standing seam and select an S5 clamp, and we have a couple of options for the corrugated metal as well. So we'll stick with shingle for now for this demonstration. The next is the module. You get to select whatever module you want. There's a bunch here that we do or have traditionally offered. If your module is not on the list, you can click on the custom and enter your module parameters, and the system will take that into account. And then this is the design. You can kind of increase the number of rows and columns. And then you can say, well, hey, I've got a skylight I got to work around, so I'm going to delete these modules. And the roof is on a bit of an angle, so I can't install these. And I've got a vent pipe over here and over here that I have to work around. So you can kind of detail your system uh, and all its nuances. You can also select the portrait or landscape. Now, one thing to note, when you click on landscape, it'll give you this one warning to say, hey, these days most module manufacturers don't actually allow you to install modules in a portrait orientation with the rails running along the length. You do want to proceed that way. You might want to check with the module OEM to make sure that they're okay with it. And it gives you the information in terms of what the total power is of your system and the overall dimensions of the system. Once you've kind of designed your array, this is your page with all the options, and it's got nice images that kind of show you what it's going to look like with your selected options. So if you want to use an end clamp, you select yes, and it tells you what your end of the array is going to look like with an end clamp versus with a regular clamp. If you want to use rail end caps or not, it shows you kind of what that looks like. And then clamp style, this is what a ClickLogs clamp looks like. This is what a T-bolt end clamp looks like. And again, this is what the hidden end clamp looks like. You can select your optimizers. This will provide you with bonding equipment to bond your optimizers or microinverters if you're using them. You can choose spares. You can choose if you don't want spares, choose no, or you can get 5% spares or 10% spare equipment as well. And then press protection. If you don't want any, you can choose it and we'll show you what it looks like. If you want our premium edge trim and clamps, it shows you what they look like. If you want critter guard, it comes in 6 and 8 inch options, and it comes with various attachment options, and we'll show you what that looks like based on your selected preferences. Same with rail lengths. It comes with 3 rail lengths, but if you don't want 185 inches, you're picking up with your pickup truck and you can't pick up 185-inch rails, you can exclude that from the calculation and just base your BOM on the 139 and 94. And once you've done all that, you go to the results page. The results page is going to tell you, hey, we've calculated your BOM based on the fact that you need 48-inch spans between your anchors. These are your calculated environmental loads, and this is your BOM. You'll see across here, you can peek that. You can turn it into a CSV Excel file. You can email it to yourself or your account manager. Or you can add it if you do have an account with Charge Solar portal account, you can add it to your Charge Solar cart and it will take you to there to process your transaction. Similar again, GMX has a similar tool and Elite has a similar tool. I'll just quickly show you that. Again, project, you select your module. And then you can max out. It'll show you, hey, on 5 legs, you can fit 24 of these modules. It's feet wide, and that's about 14.6 kilowatts. Then you can mess around with that. You can reduce the number of modules. I'll show you what that looks like. And you can add another one, and you can add another one. And again, it'll aggregate the BOM at the bottom. And similar idea, you can do the same things with that BOM as you can with Ultron. The other thing that it provides you is the reaction load. So to select your tilt, and again, enter your address and your weather station, and it's going to say, okay, these are the assumed weather conditions, and these are the reaction loads for your mount. So you can take that and get your foundation size based on it. The last thing I'll show you is there's this downloads button. So if you click on that, it'll take you to maybe. We'll take you to this area. Here you can find all the product information. So you'll find the data sheets, you find the installation manuals, you find the approved module listings, and that's available across all of our product lines, along with our warranty terms. And then down at the bottom, there's this technical resources section. And there you're going to find our pre-engineered data. So if you're working with a GMX, GMX comes with a set of reaction load tables, and they look like something like this. Um, my computer is slow. Uh, so it's always going to start with a bunch of engineering gibberish and assumptions at the front. It has a page with all the seals. As you can tell, there's 8 seals on here that cover 9 provinces and territories. And then beyond that, you're gonna see these tables. So it's good there. You're gonna look up your snow load, you're gonna look up your wind load, and you're gonna find your tables. You'll see across here there's tables, maximum table size limitations. So if with the GMX, if your wind load is on the low side, there is no limitation. You can go infinitely. As your winds kind of increase, you start to see some limitations on how big of a table you can have before you lose compatibility with the mount. And you'll see once you get down to these pretty severe wind loads, you drop down to only about 16 modules. And beyond that, the mount is just not compatible. Uh, the other thing that it comes with the GMX, it does have this additional pre-engineered document specifically for precast ballast blocks. And once it loads, I can show you that. Again, it comes with a set of seals and a set of assumptions, but it gives you the size and weight of the blocks that you would need if you're using a single block across both legs, or if you're using individual blocks for the 2 legs. So again, all this information is publicly available to all our clients free of charge. And we have similar for the Fast Track Elite. We have our engineering letters for our roof anchors. We have a span letter for Ultra, which will get you a similar type of data. Again, slow to load, but once it does, it uh, it always comes with a bunch of engineering stuff up front. Page of seals, bunch of engineering assumptions that go into it. You do have to pay attention to them. If your project falls outside of these assumptions, of course, the data is no longer valid. But then again, you can look up your wind and snow values, and you can look up your maximum spans. Just for reference, average winds, 50-year wind pressure in Canada is about 0.45 kilopascals, which kind of puts you here. You can see for the majority of Canadian locations, you can get away with 4-foot spans. And the last thing we do also provide you with our CSA certificate for our CSA certified mounts as well, in case your HA needs a copy of that as well. Uh, s- I'm gonna stop there. I think I'm surprised by the timing. This is great. I'm not over time. I think that's all the material I wanted to share. As I said, we're happy to kind of field any questions. You can reach out to us through the website or through Chartsolar engineering at chartsolar.com, and we'll be happy to kind of share information, answer questions, and help you with your project and help you kind of work with the product. That's all from me. Thanks, Amber.
Great, thanks, Stanko. Yeah, no questions coming through the Q&A. So I guess we can leave it right there. Stanko, we appreciate you joining us today. That was very informative. And thank you to everyone who attended today's session as well. This webinar recording will be emailed to all of you by the end of today. Will also be added to both the Charge Solar and the Fast Track YouTube channels, so you can check it out there as well. And that concludes today's session. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again.
So thanks all.